Abu Huraira, whose real name was Abd al-Rahman ibn Sakhr al-Dawsi, was born in the tribe of Daws in Yemen. His early life was spent in poverty, and he worked as a shepherd before accepting Islam. Not much is documented about his early years before his conversion. He was called Abu Huraira, meaning father of the kitten, because of his fondness for kittens, as he often carried one in his sleeve. The name became widely recognized, and even the Prophet Muhammad referred to him by this affectionate nickname. Abu Huraira accepted Islam in the 7th year of Hijrah, 629 CE, after hearing about the Prophet Muhammad from Tufail ibn Amr al-Dawsi, a fellow tribesman who had already embraced Islam. Tufail invited his people to Islam, and Abu Huraira was among those who responded. Shortly after his conversion, he traveled to Medina and joined the Prophet's companions. His arrival coincided with the time when the Battle of Khaybar was taking place. He immediately devoted himself to learning Islam and staying in the company of the Prophet. Unlike many of the senior companions, Abu Huraira did not engage in trade, farming, or government affairs. Instead, he dedicated his entire time to memorizing the sayings and actions of the Prophet. He lived in extreme poverty and often stayed in Sufa, the shaded area of the Prophet's mosque in Medina, where poor companions who had no families or means of support resided. He often suffered from hunger and would sometimes tie stones to his stomach to suppress the pain. Despite this, he remained committed to learning and preserving Hadith. He later said, "People say that Abu Huraira narrates too many Hadith, but my Muhajir and Ansar brothers were busy with their trade and farming, while I stayed with the Messenger of Allah, content with nothing but filling my stomach. I was among the poor and would attend every gathering where the Prophet spoke, memorizing what he said." Abu Huraira had an excellent memory and once asked the Prophet to pray for him to retain knowledge. The Prophet made dua for him, after which Abu Huraira never forgot a hadith again. The most prolific hadith narrator, Abu Huraira, became the most prolific hadith narrator among the companions. He narrated over 5,374 hadiths, which are recorded in major hadith collections such as Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, Abu Dawud, Tirmidhi, and others. Many of these narrations provide essential guidance on worship, ethics, social relations, and daily life in Islam. Some of his most well-known narrations include, On Sincerity in Actions. The Messenger of Allah said, "Allah does not look at your appearance or wealth, but He looks at your hearts and deeds." On the importance of prayer, the Messenger of Allah said, "The first deed for which a person will be brought to account on the Day of Judgment is the prayer." On kindness to animals, a man saw a thirsty dog panting, so he filled his shoe with water and gave it to drink. Allah forgave his sins because of this deed. On fasting on Mondays and Thursdays, the Prophet said, "Deeds are presented to Allah on Mondays and Thursdays, so I like that my deeds be presented while I am fasting." Due to his vast knowledge, later companions and scholars relied on his narrations to understand Islamic teachings. After the Prophet's passing, Abu Huraira continued his role as a teacher and advisor. During the caliphates of Abu Bakr, Umar ibn al-Khattab, Uthman ibn Affan, and Ali ibn Abi Talib, he was involved in religious and judicial matters. Abu Huraira continued to live in Medina, dedicating his time to teaching Islam and narrating Hadith to the next generation of scholars. He was widely respected for his knowledge and piety. Shortly before his death, he expressed gratitude for the dua of the Prophet that had allowed him to remember and narrate Hadith. He passed away in 681 CE, 59 AH, at the age of approximately 78 years in Medina. His funeral was attended by a large number of people, and he was buried in Jannat al-Baqi, the famous cemetery of Medina where many companions are buried. Many later scholars, including Imam Bukhari and Imam Muslim, relied on his narrations to compile their hadith collections. His accurate memory and commitment to preserving knowledge ensured that Islamic teachings were transmitted authentically to future generations.